Chris, great to be here with you today on the Kerr Racecourse, a place you've had a lot of success over the years, particularly at Irish Champions Weekend, and even before that the corresponding races. Racecourses, picking up that ride in the Irish Sin Ledger. That was a big day.
Yeah, it was a big day, and it was a nice spare to get. Dermot Weld had two in the race, and I had a good connection with Lady O'Reilly at the time. And James Kelly, who was race manager then, gave me a call to say there was a chance that I was going to get on her. And thankfully, when the declarations came out, I saw it a lovely draw. The race, it worked out unbelievable. I was after winning the matron the week before for Kevin Prendergast, so I was kind of on the crest of a wave, full of confidence. I think I turned into straight 3 wide, getting half carted with, and she bolted up. Like I think she won 10 or 12 lengths. She won real easy. But yeah, it was a special day, and to do it so close after my first Group 1, to get my first classic meant a lot.
Roll on 6 years later, Search for a Song, probably one of the most bizarre races I've ever seen as a classic. The way she pulled her way to the front effectively, but it was so good to keep going and go ahead and win the race.
Yeah, she was. I suppose, I got run away with on her as well, to be fair. She, stepping up to that trip, was a little bit keen with me, and I remember the rain that fell beforehand, and she went down, and she was strong in my hands, and my gloves on, and I said, I'll get a good hold of her out of the gates now, and I'll get my hands down. But I think I had myself that worked up about it that my goggles started to fog, and I couldn't see where I was going after, I'd say, a furlong. Moved to take one of the goggles down and looked up, and I'm 4 wide, trying to get her back on heels. And then I said, I'm at nothing here if I don't keep a bit of rhythm and try and save some bit of petrol. And in fairness, she made steady progress, because we weren't after going quick down the outside of him. It was just a constant rhythm, and I was able to get a good sit into her across the top. And I just took a deep breath rolling down off the hill and said, this could be my last time riding for Team Rosewell if this doesn't work out. And thankfully she powered up the straight and won real well.
What are your emotions with that? You know, your race has gone totally the opposite of what you expect. She's done everything wrong, and you're getting to the furlong pole thinking this may happen.
It was relief more than anything. That is genuine. I actually did take a deep breath and said this could be my last ride, because nothing had gone right. The only instructions I'd gotten that day were to get her settled, and it was the one thing I couldn't do. But everything went smooth, as in I was able to keep her in a rhythm without her really herring off. But when I ran down to the white boards, it was relief. And I walked back in, and the reception we got that day, and Lord of Mercy and Pat Smullen, I put my arm around him, and he said, what in God's name are you at on her? And the two of us just burst out laughing. But it was just relief and a sense of satisfaction, because I could have kept fighting her for those extra couple of furlongs and it mightn't have worked out, who knows. But I kind of made the call, and I was very grateful that it worked out.
Was that just instinctive?
Yeah, like I said, when I took my goggles down and I looked up, and I said, I'm not going to be able to get in any further, and if I can't get cover, she's not going to settle. And I just literally in a split second said, I'm better off just letting her go forward. So without trying to really drop my hands and let her roll, I just let her gather a bit of pace and momentum up. And in fairness, when she got to the front, she pricked her ears and loved it. So yeah, I suppose it was instinct, but I was tired as well.
And you mentioned coming in back into the stands that day. It was the day the Kerr came alive. It was Pat's day for cancer trials. He wasn't with us effectively a year later, 18 months later. A very special day, despite the rain. The place was jammed. To ride a winner from Idler Stud under the circumstances with Pat out of action.
Yeah, the atmosphere here that day, even going out, like it was rain and it was real dreary going out. And Pat came out into the paddock beforehand, and I had a good chat with him, because the boss had said to me, make sure you talk to Pat, and Fiona wanted me to have a good chat with him as well as to what he'd do. We had a good long chat beforehand, but like I said, after a furlong and a half, that all went out the window. But to see the smile on his face when I came back in, because he was a good friend and mentor of mine, and to see the crowds coming in, and those colours, when you see those colours, you think of Pat Smullen. So yeah, it all meant a lot, and emotions were high that day. But I've never seen an atmosphere like it for the way the weather was as well. The crowds running over to the parade ring, especially for the Legends race later on today.
Chris, a couple of nice 2-year-olds for the Durham Wild team this year. Tahirya, though, was a real standout, winning at Galway, half sister to Tarnawa.
Yeah, she's very, very exciting. We kind of had her earmarked for a nice maiden end of July, start of August kind of time, and she just started to come alive. Galway was nice to start her off because they got rain and they had water ground, so it was always going to be safe. And a filly with that kind of pedigree, you don't want to be starting them off on real quick ground. So yeah, she lined up, she done everything real professional. She surprised me because with the weather we've had, we haven't had a chance to get horses away on grass, or haven't been able to go and work them up Walsh's Hill or anything. So effectively she hadn't been on grass a whole pile. So for her to do what she done around Galway, like, that's not an easy track to travel and quicken like she did. She jumped out, got into a lovely position and kicked off the home turn. We didn't go over quick, but I liked the way she extended, and she won with her ears pricked. So pedigree says she's good, and that's the way she felt.
Chris, Kahana, we haven't seen her since she won really well at Limerick early in the season. How's she been?
She's good. She's by Harzand, so she was always going to be one that would improve with a bit of time, but for some reason she just kind of came right for the month of June. That race worked out lovely for us timing wise, and she travelled around and quickened up well. Form for races worked out good. She started to grow a little bit after the run, and the boss decided to give her a little bit more time, and to be fair, she's filled into her frame, and she could be a nice prospect for later on in the year. She has a couple of options in Champions Weekend, and wherever she goes, I think she'll represent us well.
Irish Champions Weekend, Chris, has been a big addition to the Irish calendar. You have Dublin Racing Festival for jumps in February, but for flat racing it's really tied in the back end of the season really well.
It is a great concept, and timing wise I think it fits in lovely because just with the Arc, you have English Champions Weekend and you have the York Festival. It just leaves lovely time frame for trainers to have their horses mapped out, and for us it's a bit like our Olympics. It's great to be competing, and you're seeing the best of the best, the younger generation and the older generation. So it's a brilliant concept, and it's a privilege to be a part of it.
Even the handicaps, great prize money offer, but so competitive.
Yeah, and you have the sales race as well, the Tattersall's race. Like, every race is a good race, and even to be a part of it is brilliant. And the reception at the Curragh or Leopardstown, the tracks are managed beautifully. Ground is always in tip-top shape, so it's an exciting weekend, and I think it's something that was long overdue, and hopefully we're able to keep doing it justice.